Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Okay, we're live on YouTube. Mr. Court Reporter, can we go on the record? We're on the record in case number 9507S, the continuing investigation of the electric fuel rate and purchase power cost adjustment charges of Williamsport Municipal Electric Light Plant. Let's take appearances starting with Williamsport.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's Tom Rudabush on behalf of the town of Williamsport with the law firm of Duncan Weinberg, Genzer, and Pembroke. Thank you.
And Office of People's Counsel.
Jonah Baskin appearing on behalf of Office of People's Counsel.
Commission staff.
Yes, good morning. Ruthie Herman, Herman, on behalf of staff. Thank you.
Why don't we start with Mr. Rudabush? You circulated, I think, proposed exhibit.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
So I understand that notice has already been posted and it was approved by OPC. Do you intend to continue to leave that up?
At Your Honor's discretion, I think your order said it would be up for up until today, but we're happy to continue to leave it up.
I guess I don't know what OPC's position is. I thought that my understanding of it, Ms. Herman, can you mute if you're going to be typing? My understanding of the purpose of the notice was to inform customers of the upcoming rate increase, was it not?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's why I was a little surprised that it was captioned notice of hearing, because it wasn't really about today's hearing; it was about the upcoming rate increase. So I found the caption to be not helpful.
Well, I mean, the purpose of the hearing was to examine the rate increase that we're talking about. I'm not sure I understand what the distinction is.
The purpose of the notice was to inform customers of the tremendous rate increase that's going to occur June 1st. A notice that's captioned notice of hearing doesn't give them the heads up that maybe they want to read this because this is information that might affect them in terms of a rate increase. It was a notice of hearing. So my suggestion would be that if you were going to continue to post it, that the caption be changed to notice of upcoming rate increase or something like that. Mr. Baskin, did you have any suggestions?
Yes, Your Honor. When we had conferred with Williamsport regarding the body of the notice, we hadn't discussed with Williamsport the title. OPC thinks that recaptioning it would be helpful, but OPC also understands that this was included as a bill insert for customers, which we think also would help with its visibility potentially.
Okay, so you don't feel as though it should continue to be posted but recaptioned?
Yes, Your Honor. We think recaptioning it, the body of the notice, we think is appropriate.
Okay, so what do you think the caption of the notice should be?
We're happy to work with Williamsport and with your Honor's direction to wordsmith it, but something along the lines of a notice of increasing rates.
Okay, because it's only May 6th and the rates are going to go into effect June 1st. So I think that would be helpful. So I'm fine if you two want to work it out amongst yourself. That's my concern, though. I want people to read the notice and they might not care about a hearing, but they might care about a rating. Okay, so if we could make that happen. Otherwise, did you want that entered into the record, Mr. Rudabush?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all we have so far, by the way, is W1, which was the notice of the April 17 hearing.
Your Honor, I'd like to introduce this as Exhibit W2 then.
Okay. So that notice that Mr. Rudebush sent around that's been posted for the last couple of weeks will be W2. And so I assume there's no objection to that.
No objections.
No objection, Your Honor.
W2 will be admitted. Okay, now did you want to talk about your witnesses' new exhibits?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, be reminded that, like I said, there's nothing in the record yet. So the original exhibits are not in.
Yes, Your Honor. So I was going to call our witness to the stand and introduce the updated exhibits as Exhibit W3.
Oh, so you're not going to admit the initial exhibits at all?
I don't see the need, Your Honor.
If no one else does, I'm fine with that. Okay, do you have an attestation about the witness? Do you know what I'm referring to? You look confused. Mr. Sims, are
Yes.
you alone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you in communication with anyone at this time?
No, I'm not.
Besides us?
No, no.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Birdbush.
Mr. Sims, do you have before you a set of exhibits labeled Exhibit CSS1 updated through Exhibit CSS8 updated?
Yes, I do.
And were these exhibits prepared by you or under your direct supervision?
Yes, they were.
And with reference to Exhibit CSS1 updated, page 1, can you tell us briefly what this exhibit shows us and what has been updated on this exhibit?
Yes, so the exhibit is a historical look back of the past 12 months of the current PCA for the town of Williamsport. And then there is a projection for a forward-looking PCA that will begin on June 1st. Calculation for the town as well. And so what's highlighted in orange are the numbers that I updated from the previous calculation since more time has passed. So February and March, we had actual retail sales data for February of 25 and March of 25. And same thing for the wholesale cost. We have actual values for February and March of 2025. So the orange cells represent items that have been updated for actuals. And we did also include sort of an adjustment to the forecast for April as well. But the resulting cells that are highlighted in blue are everything that changed based on formulas as a result of that update and more current information for the retail sales and the wholesale purchases. So it ultimately calculates that for the June 1st of 25 through May 31st of 26 PCA, the relevelized PCA is calculated down there at the bottom line 36 column I at 0.07997 per kilowatt hour.
Thank you. And with reference to line 36 on Exhibit CSS1, starting with column C, that shows the re-levelized PPA, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how does that work across line 36 with the re-levelized ACA, resulting in the re-levelized PCA?
Yeah, so the PPA portion that's in column C, the 0.07549 per kilowatt hour, that is to collect dollar for dollar the exact power supply cost that we are forecasting for June 1st through June 1st of 25 through May 31st of 26. Then there is separately an ACA calculation, the actual cost adjustment, that is to correct for any over or under collection of actual power supply costs in the previous PCA period. And so that there is an additional under collection of that $90,000, $90,263.41 that's on line 34, column F. That's the total amount that has been under collected relative to actual power supply costs in this past period. And so there's an additional 0.00448 per kilowatt hour in the ACA that gets added to the PPA to come up with the total rate that gets charged to customers, which is the relevelized PCA in column I. So one component is just forward looking for actual cost that we expect in this PPA period. And the ACA is to adjust for previous over under collection relative to actuals.
And so the relevelized PCA that's in column I, the 0.07997, that is the rate that is the subject of this hearing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor. I present for cross-examination.
Okay, before, I think the OPC has some questions, but before we get to those questions, I wanted to clear up a little bit of, I guess, a discrepancy between your testimony in this case and your testimony in last year's case. So I'm going to send around a copy of the transcript. So I just sent the transcript in a condensed version from April 17th. Let me know when you have that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. Mr. Sims was not on the most recent emails, Mr. Rudebush. So when you get it, if you could forward it to him.
I have not received it yet, Your Honor.
Okay.
Has anyone else?
I haven't yet. It takes 90 seconds sometimes, and it's a long 90 seconds.
Oh, I have it now, Your Honor.
Okay, if you could forward that to the witness.
I just got it too. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm on page 17.
Excuse me, I haven't received it.
I'm going to send it to you, Lucy.
Thank you.
So Mr. Baskin was asking you about the bid that Williamsport received from Energy Harbor for contract that was for 0.06163 per kilowatt hour, which included capacity costs. Your answer to that question, so that was outside of the RFP. That was because there was the possibility to extend their previous contract with Energy Harbor, but then Energy Harbor got bought out by Vistra. So there's no guarantee that that even would have been possible at that time. But yeah, maybe 2 years ago, they could have extended it maybe at that rate, but it's hard to say. So when you say at that rate, you mean, what rate did you mean?
It should have been at the 61, 63 that per
But
kilowatt.
that was the response to the bid for a new price. So you talk about the possibility to extend the previous contract. You said maybe 2 years ago they could have extended it maybe at that rate. So you're saying they could have extended the existing contract at the 0.6163 or 0.6163?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that we had received a quote from Energy Harbor for that amount. And so, yeah, we could have extended it that, but I mean, it only covers energy and capacity. So that's, you know, that would be very, very expensive when you add in every other cost in the PJM bill would be almost $90 a kilowatt hour.
But
Because the transmission itself is $20 a megawatt hour.
but the 0.06163 per kilowatt hour did include capacity costs.
Yeah, which were only like 0.0025 per kilowatt hour. It was very small because the capacity cost was only, $20 a megawatt day back then.
Okay, because I also pulled the transcript from last year. And I'm sending that around too. And this is where I'm confused, because last year you said at some point capacity was pulled out of the contract.
I mean, the capacity was never pulled out of the previous contract. The RFP was, it was pulled out of the RFP. So the request from the RFP was for energy only because the transmission had been previously pulled out of the contract. Transmission was included back when the initial contract was put into place, and that had been removed. And so the anticipation was that capacity would also have been removed. But Energy Harbor was comfortable with keeping that same contract. Like they were trying to do everything they could to effectively keep the towns as customers. But, as I stated before, the 6163 was very expensive for just energy and capacity. But it was never, the capacity itself was never removed before because the capacity was just very cheap before what it will be starting June 1st of this year.
Okay, so in the transcript that I sent around most recently at the bottom of page 19, you had testified, and I can't remember if the original contract included capacity and at some point the capacity was pulled out. I can't remember if it was or not. Your testimony today is it was not pulled out. It was still in the contract through the termination at May 31 of 2024.
I mean, I'd have to look at the larger context. I'm not sure why I would have said that if the capacity was pulled out. No, I mean, I'm certain that the capacity was not pulled out of the contract. I'm positive that it was not requested in the RFP.
Because it wasn't requested in the RFP because you weren't worried about the capacity price?
I mean, that's effectively, well, I mean, it's basically twofold. One, Hagerstown was the one that designed the RFP, and so it was Hagerstown's consultants that decided on the structure of that RFP ultimately. Granted, we did have input, and yeah, me personally, professionally, I was not as concerned with the capacity because it had been averaging, well below $50 a megawatt hour effectively for per megawatt day for the last, 4 or 5 years. And so I mean, like I said, there are other clients that I have, other communities that are in the APS zone that locked in capacity at $90 or $100 a megawatt day. And so it didn't make sense in my mind to ask for them to include capacity, assuming that they were going to be pricing it at $100 a megawatt day when the price had been consistently less than that.
Right.
And
because you didn't foresee what happened with the most recent auction and the price increase.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Nobody in PJM foresaw it. And that's why there's been such an uproar because, even the experts were anticipating $90 to $100 per megawatt day as sort of being the long-term average capacity price. And so everybody was caught off guard when jumped up to 270.
Yeah, I did a little calculation on your CSS-4, both from last year in case R and this year in case S. So if you took the total energy and capacity costs, and then the percentage of energy of that total, I calculated it used to be 93.7%, and the capacity 6.3% of that of total energy and capacity. And then based on your CSS4 in this case, with your forecasted numbers, of course, the total forecasted number of both energy and capacity has now increased. But more interestingly, perhaps, is that the energy is now only 65.8% of the total, whereas capacity has jumped from the 6.3% to now it is 34.2% of the total energy and capacity costs, based on my calculations. Do those calculations sound correct to you?
Yeah, they do sound correct. And the reason for, the Williamsport is in a non-constrained locational deliverability area, an LDA. And so that's why those capacity prices for the APS zone are effectively the lowest in all of PJM. It's sort of the remaining price that anybody that's in a non-constrained location, meaning you can freely receive the cheap energy, can get delivered to you from the cheap generators. You're in a non-constrained LDA, and so you pay the lowest capacity price. I will note that the $270 per megawatt day that we are going to be paying now are prices that constrained LDAs have been paying for years and years and even decades. And so BG&E, their price is $440 per megawatt day for capacity, for the exact same capacity. And same thing for Dominion. I think theirs also cleared at 440 per megawatt day, and the DPL South zone. So there are constrained LDAs that have been paying that higher capacity price for a very long time. It's just that now it's sort of spilled over into not what were traditionally non-constrained LDAs have become constrained under the enormous increase in load that they're expecting from those data centers in Northern Virginia.
Did you look at Mr. Mosier's revised direct testimony?
Yes.
I just wanted to, because Mr. Rudebush went through the numbers on your CSS-1, I wanted to ask you a question so the record is clear. On page 2 of Mr. Mosier's testimony, I guess it's at the bottom of 1, it was where it starts, line 28. Williamsport projects an all-in power supply costs from June 2025 through May 2026 billing period of 0.07997 per kilowatt hour. Is that correct based on your CSS1?
So that is just the PCA portion. You would need to add to that.
Can you clear that up?
Yeah. So that 0.07997, that is specifically what is in the PCA to collect both for the forecasted power supply cost. But when I initially started, the PPA portion is the actual cost of the power supply in the PCA that is specific for the future power supply costs. And then there is also the power cost that's embedded in the base rates that would need to be added to that to come up with a true all-in cost. And that's what is identified in column C on exhibit CSS1. Column C, line 34, you see that the total calculation of the power supply cost is 0.09729. So that is okay.
I was just going to say, so if you were to correct Mr. Mosier's testimony, you would put that figure, the 0.09 figure in his, that's the all-in power supply cost.
That's correct. That's what I would compare to the price to compare, or the all-in standard offer service rate for other utilities. Yes.
We should be comparing 0.09729 to he compared it to the Potomac Edison rate of 0.10201.
That's correct.
So it's pretty close.
Yes.
That was, I think that's the last thing I wanted to clear up with you. Thank you. Mr. Baskin, do you have any cross-examination for this witness?
I do, Your Honor. Mr. Sims, can you turn to page 26 of the transcript from the last hearing?
Yes.
In lines 16 through line 6 on the next page, can you just confirm that the 0.6163 per kilowatt hour price was not actually a price that was received in the RFP?
That's correct. It was not a price in the RFP. That's correct.
So in terms of your earlier discussion with Judge Lawrence, would you say that a characterization of what that price represented was the energy price from the RFP plus a projected capacity and ancillary service cost that you created and added to the RFP energy price?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sims. I have a few questions about the savings that Williamsport realized by purchasing its energy through the PJM market instead of entering into a long-term contract. So Williamsport set a price target which authorizes the mayor to enter into a long-term contract if energy is at $45 per megawatt hour or less. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And this price target was set to reflect a roughly $40 per megawatt hour market cost of energy, plus the town's willingness to pay a $5 per megawatt hour premium for locking in a long-term contract. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Williamsport, over the last PCA year, purchased just over 20,000 megawatts of wholesale energy, which with that $5 per megawatt hour premium over market rates would indicate that Williamsport would be willing to pay roughly $100,000 over market rates in order to lock in a long-term contract over the course of the PCA year. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
It's like back of the envelope math.
Yeah.
In your response to OPC DR1, which was entered into the record as OPC Exhibit 1 last hearing, you stated that Williamsport saved $145,000 between the start of June 2024 and the end of February 2025 by not contracting with a third-party supplier. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you share that analysis with Williamsport's town council?
Yes.
Okay. In the last hearing we had, you stated that the $145,000 savings was based in part on the costs that Hagerstown pays for its energy. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I have some additional questions I want to ask you about our data responses. So do you have before you documents titled OPC DR2, OPC DR2 Attachment 1, and OPC DR3?
Yes, I do.
Your Honor, I'd like to have the document OPC DR2 marked for identification as OPC Exhibit 2, the document OPC DR2 Attachment 1 marked as OPC Exhibit 2-1, and the document OPC DR3 marked as OPC Exhibit 3.
So marked.
Mr. Sims, were each of these documents prepared by you or under your supervision and direction?
Yes, they were.
And do you have any corrections or deletions to make to any of these documents at this time?
No, I do not.
And if you were asked the same questions in these documents today under oath, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Your Honor, I'd like to have OPC Exhibit 2, OPC Exhibit 2-1, and OPC Exhibit 3 admitted into the record.
Any objections?
No objections. Thank you.
No,
Okay,
Your Honor.
OPC Exhibits 2, 2-1, and 3 are admitted into the record.
Mr. Sims, can you please refer to your responses in OPC Exhibit 2 to questions 2-10 and 2-11?
Yes.
Would the methodology OPC presented in these in these questions represent an accurate way of comparing the price Williamsport would have paid had it entered into a long-term contract under the terms of the RFP as compared to purchasing its energy directly from the PJM market if OPC had used the load following offer price, which you described in your response?
Yes, that's correct. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. That's all of our questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Before we move to staff, I was going to go ahead then, and the tariff pages that Mr. Rudebush emailed around, marked as Bench Exhibit 1, the RFP Bench Exhibit 2, and the matrix as Bench Exhibit 3. Just so you know that. Okay. Ms. Herman, did you have some exhibits?
Yes, thank you. And may I just check with you, was that Williamsport-3? Because I didn't hear if Williamsport-3 was entered into the record. Sims Exhibits CSS 1-8. I heard him ask it to be identified.
Okay, yeah, I don't actually know for sure, but let's make it clear that Williamsport 1 or W-3 is entered into the record. That's the updated exhibits. And W2, which was the notice, was also admitted.
Thank you.
Thanks for that clarification.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to ask Lucy Shea to unmute herself and ask that she be sworn in. First, I'll ask her to attest that Ms. Shea, are you alone in your office and is the door shut?
Yes,
And are you not in communication with anyone except for those present on this virtual hearing?
no, I'm not in communication with anyone else.
Okay, great. And Your Honor, may I ask that she be sworn in? Ms. Shea be sworn
Yeah,
in?
and before I do that, Mr. Sims,
Yes,
raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalties of perjury the testimony you gave in the last few minutes was the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Shea, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Herman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Shea, do you have, what is your job title at the commission, Ms. Shea?
Utility auditor.
Your title. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, just your title. Utility auditor.
auditor.
Okay, thank you. I'll try not to speak over you. Ms. Shea, do you have in front of you the direct testimony on Lucy Shea, which you caused to have filed on April 8th, 2025?
Yes, I do.
And this is docket, and this, I've referred to this, and please confirm this is ML 317612, docket number 203. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. Shea, at this time, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections to that testimony? Take your time.
Yes. Page 4, line 15. It says proposed PCA factor to be charged beginning June 2024, and that should be June 2025.
Is that all of the deletions, corrections, or additions?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask that the direct testimony of Lucy Shea be identified as Staff Exhibit 1. Okay, thank you. Ms. Shea, if I were to ask...
Ms. Herman, I'm sorry, was that page 4, line 15?
Line 15, this is my April 8th testimony. Page 4, line 15.
Okay, your volume is not great, so.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Ms. Shea, if I were to ask you each of these questions now, when you're under oath, would your answers be the same?
yes,
Ms. Shea, do you adopt this testimony as your statement in this?
yes,
Your Honor, I request that Staff Exhibit 1 be admitted into the record.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay, Staff Exhibit 1 is admitted into the record.
And Your Honor, I'm hearing a lot of feedback. I wonder if, let's see, it's just Ms. Shea and I can have our mics open. Oh, nothing you can do.
Getting a lot of feedback. This is the
Okay. I'll try and speak slowly. Thank you. Ms. Shea, may I ask you if you have in front of you the supplemental direct testimony of Lucy Shea, also labeled as supplemental testimony?
yes,
And is this testimony which you caused to have filed yesterday, May 5th, 2025?
yes,
Is this the testimony that is under ML 3601, docket number 207?
yes,
Ms. Shea, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections to this testimony?
no, I do not.
Your Honor, at this time, staff requests that the supplemental testimony of Lucy Shea be marked as Staff Exhibit 3.
So marked.
Ms. Shea, if I were to ask you each of these questions now while you're under oath, would your answers be the same?
Yes,
Ms. Shea, do you adopt this testimony as your sworn statement in this case?
yes,
Your Honor, at this time, I request that Staff 3 be entered into the record.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Hearing and seeing none, Staff Exhibit 3 will be entered.
This witness is available for cross. Thank you.
Mr. Rudebush, any cross-examination?
I have none, Your Honor.
Mr. Baskian?
OPC has no cross-examination, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I ask at this time that Kevin Mosier be unmuted.
I had a question for Ms. Shea.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask, the period of time that you checked the company's bills to make sure that they were properly charging customers, did you, I saw that in your original direct testimony, did you update the period that you checked bills with the new information, or does that period stay the same?
I have not seen the April, May, and June residential bills.
Okay, so you only checked through March.
That's true, yes.
That was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, staff asks that staff witness Kevin Mosier unmute himself, and I will ask him to affirm the attestation. Mr. Mosier, are you unmuted?
I am.
And Mr. Mosier, would you attest that you're in your office, the door is shut, and that you're alone?
I am.
And would you attest that you're not in communication with anyone except for those on this virtual hearing?
I'm sorry, that was a little bit.
Yes, I'm sorry. Would you affirm that you are not in communication with anyone other than those that are on this virtual hearing call?
That is correct.
Mr. Mosier, may I ask you what is your job? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I was going to swear him in this time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mosier, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Mosier, could you confirm your job title?
I'm an assistant director.
Mr. Mosier, do you have in front of you the direct testimony of Kevin Mosier for case 9507 that you caused to have filed on April 8th, 2025?
The original version or the revised version from?
Oh, I was going to ask you, I'm going to try to enter into evidence the testimony.
The answer is yes.
Okay, great. Mr. Mosier, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
I believe I do. But I need to double check. The number I have in there of 0.775, the per kilowatt hour charge of 0.07757, I believe that number should be 0.09489, but I need to double check that.
Can I suggest that I don't know that there's any real purpose in his original direct testimony being in the record?
Okay. Thank you.
Were you going to mark that as 2?
I was going to mark that as staff exhibit 2.
Okay, but now you can mark his revised direct as 2?
I sure will.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mosher, do you have in front of you your revised direct testimony for this case?
I do.
And is that the testimony that you caused to have filed on May 5th, 2025?
It is.
And Mr. Mosher, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections to that testimony?
Again, I believe so, but I do want to double check to make sure my math is right. On page 2, the reference on line 2 and then line 3 to a price of 0.07997, I believe should be 0.09729.
And can I ask you to repeat what page and line numbers those corrections are on?
That is on page 2, lines 2 and 3.
Okay, and could you repeat the new value that you just stated?
0.09729.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to request that this revised testimony be officially marked as staff 2.
So marked.
Mr. Mosher, if I would ask you each of these questions now while you're under oath, would your answers be the same?
They would.
Mr. Mosher, do you adopt this testimony as your sworn testimony in this case?
I do.
Your Honor, at this time, I request that staff 2 be admitted into the record.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Mosher is now available for cross-examination.
Mr. Ridbush, you have any questions?
I do not, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Baskin, do you have any questions?
OPC has no questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Mosher, your only conclusion is that the increase in Williamsport's all-in power supply costs is reasonable. I wanted to check, do you mean to say that the increase based on the increase in capacity costs is any sort of conclusion about the capacity costs? The reasonableness of the results of the capacity auction?
Well, I'm not really saying specifically that the capacity auction itself was reasonable, but that their rates based on that are reasonable. I can't really pass judgment on the PJM capacity model and how well it works.
So your statement that the increase in Williamsport's all-in power supply cost is reasonable is limited to the fact that the rates they need to charge are reasonable.
Right. I did not mean to imply that I think the PJM capacity market is reasonable.
And you actually didn't reach any sort of conclusion about the reasonableness of Williamsport procuring and purchasing energy directly from PJM market, correct?
I do think that's reasonable. I think the way they go about it is reasonable.
Okay, you don't have that in your testimony, your written testimony, correct?
Not explicitly.
All right, any questions based on my questions, Mr. Rubush?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Baskin?
No, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Ms. Herman?
No, Your Honor. Thank you, though.
All right, Mr. Baskin,
Yes, Your Honor.
after our discussion at the end of the last hearing, I'm going to issue a proposed order soon. I need to know whether OPC is taking any position related to whether Williamsport's procurement practices are reasonable under 4402.
Yes, Your Honor. OPC does not believe that Williamsport's procurement practices are reasonable. Specifically, we believe that the ACA and PPA that Williamsport are proposing are reasonable, but the procurement mechanisms that they engage with are not. We would ask leave to file by Friday a post-hearing brief detailing our thoughts.
Okay, given that you said that the PPA and the PCA, you don't necessarily have an issue with those calculations, would it be possible for me to issue an order that would allow Williamsport to begin charging the new PCA starting June 1st and the issue of their procurement be dealt with separately?
OPC would be comfortable with that, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Rudebush, do you believe that would work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And staff?
No objections.
Okay, I think that probably makes the most sense. That way OPC has time to brief the issue and we have time for a hearing if necessary, and we're not holding up the new billing. But everyone needs to understand that the issue under 4402 about the reasonableness of purchasing and procuring the energy straight from the PGM market is not being decided, and that issue is being held over for another day. I'll also put something in the order, but just so that everyone's clear. Okay, everyone has the exhibits I referenced, the bench exhibits. They should have been copied on the email from Mr. Rudebush. I didn't hear anyone complain they didn't have them. But,
Staff has everything. Thank you.
Okay.
OPC likewise has everything.
Okay, great. All right, anything else we need to do today then? Do you want more time than Friday, Mr. Baskin?
Your Honor, if we can have a week, we would appreciate that. We were initially asking for Friday based on the assumption that you would issue a joint order on the two, but given we're splitting the reasonableness of the procurement strategy from the actual costs that will be passed along, we would ask for, would a week be acceptable, Your Honor?
That's fine. And Mr. Rudebush, would you like to be able to respond to that?
I would, Your Honor.
And how much time would you love?
A week would be fine, Your Honor.
Okay. And then do we envision the need for a hearing on that issue, Mr. Baskin?
I believe a ruling on the motion should be fine, Your Honor, but I leave that to your discretion.
Okay, I won't schedule a hearing for now. I'll just set those times. Okay, anything else?
Nothing for me, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, everyone.